Hello, everyone. This is Gareth Robinson from Gareth on AI, where I show you real life examples of how you can use AI in your day to day and your business and personal life. And I also try and decipher and translate some of the main AI terminology that's out there. What I found when I go on YouTube, there's lots of complex explanations of some of the AI terms, which I find quite intimidating. And I'm trying here to provide like translations of some of those into more accessible language. So the area I'm going to talk about today, the area I'm going to try and unpack is a term called generative AI. I've chosen that term because I'm seeing it increasingly mentioned in articles online and even in the mainstream press. And that's backed by Google Trends, where worldwide there's been a 2,600% increase in searches for generative AI news. So you can infer from that it's a topic that people worldwide are interested about, hence me choosing it to discuss with you tonight. So, what do we mean by generative AI? Well, essentially, if we look at this, I've done a little whiteboard here. So, uh, tip my hat to Nano Banana Pro. So I've started using that more. I think I said in my previous video, I'm getting more interested in and excited about the Google products. I've been very much an open AI ChatGPT user. But Google, as I said in my last video, they've raised their game and there's some really fantastic products. And Google Nano Banana Pro, which I'll talk about in another video, is one of them. So yeah, I created this whiteboard to help explain what generative AI is. So we'll work our way around that from left to right and then onto the second row. So let's just start with what we mean by generative AI and what it really is. So essentially, it's the technology behind things like ChatGPT, image creation tools like DALL-E, Midjourney, or Nano Banana, and even music making robots, which scare the life out of me. And the key point, the key takeaway is it makes new stuff. So when you think generative, it's generating, it's creating new things. So it predicts and builds content based on the learned patterns from all of the data it's been provided. So imagine the artificial intelligence we've been provided books, pictures, music, and code, staggeringly large amounts, and it's learning patterns off that and then is creating new material. So that can be in the form of text, so that can be new stories. You can ask it to write bedtime stories for your kids in a certain style. You can get it to write eloquent emails to your managers or your colleagues. You can create new inspiring images, videos, and music, as I touched upon. And then let's look at that analogy, so to try and bring it to life, where we're going to use little Timmy here on the top right-hand side. So yeah, in terms of Timmy, imagine he's like a super fast student. He's read almost everything out there. So you think, as I said on the earlier, he's read books, articles, stories, music, and he's not memorized them per se, but he's seen patterns within them. So he has, that's the thing, he's noticed patterns, styles, and structures. And then what you can do with generative AI is you in the form of a prompt or a command, you ask little Timmy to do something. So you can ask him to write a new story. So imagine he's got all of this vast amount of knowledge, pretty much everything you can think of pertaining to the topic you're asking to write about. You can ask him, well, not just writing a story. He could write an email. He could do an image design, various different tasks. And then he creates something new. That's the bit. It's new. He doesn't just copy what's been given to him. He generates brand new material. So that's the key point. It's the new sort of material is the bit that I had to get my head around. And let's think of some real world business examples. And there's several. So I work in a digital marketing team. And in terms of from a marketing perspective, you can use it to generate blog posts. So imagine one of the challenges in some marketing departments is they lack copywriters. So you can use it to generate blog articles or even outlines, which then can be fleshed out by a qualified copywriter. You can help it to use it. You can use it to write email responses. So especially if you're working at a large corporate and they've got Copilot, which is a predominant software for larger corporates because they're married to Microsoft, and they've got a feature within the email client where you can write emails. It just saves hours of time. And a real life example of how I've used it, and I'll probably cover that in another video from a marketing perspective, is generating product descriptions for the products that I sell at the company I work for. So one of the challenges we had was that we lacked product descriptions for our website. So we had very light content on those pages. And I was able to use generative AI through loading brochures and offline material into ChatGPT with a very structured prompt to create website product descriptions using relevant keywords in the correct structure, in the brand style. And that was a real life example, which I'll probably cover in another video. You can also use it in customer support for AI chatbots, answering instantly, freeing up humans. So you see that a lot in customer services now, where the grunt work and the top questions are answered by a customer support bot, and then they hand those off to humans if the questions get too difficult. Heavily used it by developers in coding and technology as well, so they can debug code, they can write code faster. So that's another area which I don't cover as much, but it's a huge use case for generative AI. And then design and media. So this is an area where it can create logos, storyboards, graphics. So where it says no studio needed, I think that's a bit harsh. I think there's some fantastic graphic designers out there, and there's still very much, I see a demand for that. But yeah, for people on a budget or smaller businesses, you can do a lot now, especially with Nano Banana Pro, which I've just started using. So yeah, companies can save time and money. So what about everyday life examples? So children in the whether they're homeschooled or go to a public or private school, they can use it for drafting emails. They can use it for brainstorming. I think it can be used a lot for research as well. So say you've got when you're in school, you have a topic every term. So it could be castles, or it could be tornadoes and weather systems. You can use generative AI as a research partner, and also to generate content for you for the essays you're working on, at least to give you a draft. And then you can use it for again, the same as in businesses, you can create it for images and videos for your projects and things like that. But one of the things with generative AI, and as we're moving around this whiteboard, is you've got to have responsible use as well, because I think I've said on previous videos, it's not perfect. You still get issues of inaccuracy. You can have biases from data. It can still hallucinate. So you've still got to fact check and be very discerning with the output, and don't just passively accept the output. So one of the things I've noticed with generative AI as well, if you're not careful, it can be very verbose. So using my product detail page, product descriptions example from earlier on, the initial drafts of product copy that were generated for each of the SKUs or the products we sell were very, very long. So it was important to be, very much still editing. You still very much need a person driving the car, because if you just passively accept what it does for press releases, commercial descriptions, it's just not yet where it needs to be. So yeah, wrapping up, think of generative AI as a creative machine. It generates new content from learning, and it doesn't need a PhD. With the advent of the interface now with ChatGPT since the end of November 2022, and the progress Google Gemini has made, they're very easy user interfaces to type into or talk to. So we're in a really exciting time. So I hope that gives you a bit of an overview of what generative AI is. It's creating new stuff, new things, and as a creator. So I hope that gives you an overview. Thanks for listening, and drop me a comment if you like. Thank you.